Okay, third grade, here is the end of the story. Get away from the school, Sabrina shouted to the children, and they obeyed. They ran for the parking lot just as Sabrina heard a slow, horrible rumble from below. Everyone raced to the other side of the road, where some children were already congregated. When she reached them, Sabrina turned and watched the school. The horror unreeled like a car crash you couldn't stop watching. First, smoke billowed out of the school windows. Then a terrible explosion blew out the glass and knocked the doors off their hinges. The roof collapsed. A flame 100 feet high shot out of the center, and then the ground around it sank and the school fell in. Finally, a cloud of dust rose up, covering the site, and when it settled again, the school was gone. Only a huge hole remained as evidence that there had been anything there at all. "Mr. Canis," Sabrina gasped. "He's gone. I killed him." Sabrina, don't," she pleaded. "This is all my fault," the girl said as she broke down into tears. "No, child, you are not responsible for this." Granny tried to reassure her. Sabrina pulled away. "It was my anger and my prejudice that did this," she cried. "Child, Rumpelstiltskin manipulated you," her grandmother insisted. "He only manipulated what was already inside of me." "Oh, child." Suddenly, Beauty and the Beast, the Frog Prince, and his princess, and Little Miss Muffin, and the spider raced through the crowd of children. "We heard there was trouble at the school," the Beast grunted. "Have you found our kids?" Puck pointed at the 3 unconscious monsters lying on the ground. The parents cried out in unison and rushed to their children. The Beast picked up his grotesque, unconscious daughter, Natalie, and lifted her in the air. "She's beautiful, darling," he cried to his wife. Sabrina watched the happiness in the parents' eyes. The Frog Prince and his wife knelt down to their unconscious daughter, Bella, and slowly caressed her face. Even the spider cooed over his son, Toby. They loved their monstrous, murderous children. Sabrina looked into her box of matches. She reached in and took out the last of the match girl's matches. She could save it until her arm was well and then rescue her mom and dad, but it would take weeks. She couldn't be without them for another day. She needed them right now. She made a wish, then struck the match against the box's flinty surface. The flame came to life and shined in the cold night. "Sabrina, no," Granny cried. "Look at what I've become," she said sadly. "I need my mom and dad." "Sabrina, you listen to me. I forbid it. It's too dangerous," Granny said. But Sabrina could already see her parents safe and asleep on a bed inside the flame. She tossed the match to the ground and the portal grew. Without even a glance at her grandmother or her sister, she stepped through it and found herself on the other side. The room was dark. It was also warm, which made Sabrina a bit dizzy, stepping from such icy cold into the heat. She shook off the dizziness and raced to her parents, embracing them both as best she could. "I'm going to take you home now," she said, dragging her unconscious mother from the bed and onto the floor. She pulled as strongly as she could with her one good arm, edging closer and closer to the portal, where she could see Granny, Dolphine, and Puck waiting with worried faces. Suddenly, Dolphine's face grimaced in terror, and she started shouting, but Sabrina couldn't hear a word. Sounds don't come through the portal. What was she trying to tell me? And that's when the figures stepped out of the shadows. Sabrina knew she might someday have to confront her parents' kidnapper, but her imagination had not prepared her for the person she now saw in front of her. She was a child, probably Dolphine's age, wearing a red cloak, and a sadistic grin. Sabrina had never seen an expression like that on a little girl. "Did you bring my puppy?" she asked, sniffing the air. Who are you? Sabrina asked. No, you didn't, the little girl said angrily. But you've been around my puppy. Where is he? The little girl reached out and put her hand on Sabrina's shirt. When she removed it, a blood-red stain remained, a handprint. I can't play house without my grandma and my puppy, the girl said. I don't know what you're talking about, Sabrina said, trying to find the strength to get her mother through the portal. Yes, gibberish, that's what I speak, the little girl agreed. Not a word makes sense. That's what they said. They said I had an imagination. What do you want? I want to play house, the little girl's face grew very angry, and she pointed a finger at Sabrina. I have a mommy and a daddy and a baby brother and a kitty. Do you want to pet the kitty? Just then, Sabrina heard an inhumane voice slurping and slavering behind her. It said, Jabberwocky, 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 over and over. She turned to see what was making the noise, and a shriek flew out of her throat. Hunching over her was something too impossible to exist. A combination of skin and scales and jagged teeth. Even in a town like Port Landing, Sabrina had never seen something that brought so much horror. My, you are an ugly one, the voice said from across the room. The monster turned. Puck was standing next to the portal, hands on his hips, like some kind of comic book hero. Come on, Grimm, I'm here to rescue you. With a hiss, the portal burned out and closed behind him. He looked and grimaced. Uh-oh. The little girl screamed with rage. I don't need a sister or another brother. I need a grandma and a puppy. Suddenly, the monster swung its enormous arm at Sabrina, and then the room went blank. To be continued. So there is another book that is going to come out, although it doesn't seem to tell us when. But I will keep an eye out for it, and whenever I see that it's come out, and it has come out, the Sisters Grimm, The Problem Child. So I'll have to see if I can get that one at the next book fair.